Hi there, and welcome back. I'm really glad you're here with me today. This is one of those topics that isn't always easy to talk about, but it's deeply important, especially if you're over 60, caring for aging parents, or simply thinking ahead about your own future. Today, we're going to have an honest conversation about nursing homes. Now, before we dive in, let me say this: not all nursing homes are bad. In fact, some provide essential care, safety, and even companionship for people who truly need it. There are dedicated staff members, well-run facilities, and plenty of residents who are doing well. But that's not the whole picture. There are also things that don't get talked about enough, things you might not hear in brochures or see on the official tours, things that families only learn after a loved one has already moved in. And that's why we're having this conversation today. This video isn't about fear, it's about awareness. It's about making sure that you or someone you love has the full picture, not just the polished version, because when you understand what really happens behind closed doors, you can make better decisions, you can ask the right questions, spot the warning signs, and protect your dignity and well-being as you age. In this video, I'll share 5 things that nursing homes will probably never tell you, but that you absolutely need to know. These truths come from real stories, real families, and years of lived experience. And by the end of this video, my hope is that you'll feel more empowered, more prepared, and more at peace no matter what path lies ahead. Let's get started. Truth 1. Not all residents receive the same level of care. One of the first things many people are surprised to learn about nursing homes is this: not everyone gets the same level of care. It's an uncomfortable truth, but it's real, and it's something you won't see in brochures or hear during a guided tour. You might assume that once a loved one moves into a facility, they'll be treated with equal attention and respect, no matter who they are. But the reality is that care can vary greatly from one resident to another, and not always for the right reasons. In some homes, the quality of care depends on how often family visits. Staff know that residents who have frequent visitors are more likely to speak up if something's wrong. They're more likely to be noticed by administration, more likely to have someone checking in. And because of that, those residents sometimes receive more attentive care, not necessarily better medical care, but more attention, quicker responses, more dignity. On the flip side, residents who don't have regular visitors, whether because their family lives far away or they simply don't have close support, may unintentionally get overlooked. It's not always intentional neglect. It's often a matter of limited resources, too few staff, and an unspoken system of prioritization. But the result is the same: less attention, longer wait times, and a greater risk of being left behind in small but meaningful ways. And then there's the matter of how vocal a resident is. Those who are quiet, gentle, or less able to advocate for themselves due to memory issues, speech difficulties, or just personality can be unintentionally ignored. Staff often mean well, but in a busy environment, it's the residents who speak up or whose families speak up who get noticed. Now, this isn't meant to paint all staff as uncaring. Many caregivers in nursing homes are doing their absolute best under incredibly difficult conditions, but the system itself is strained, and that's why it's important to understand how it really works. If you or a loved one is considering moving into a nursing home, one of the most powerful things you can do is stay visible. Visit regularly if you're family, build relationships with staff, advocate gently but clearly, and if you're a resident yourself, speak up when something feels wrong or uncomfortable. Everyone deserves equal care, but in the real world, the people who have someone watching out for them are often the ones who receive the most consistent attention. It's not fair, but it's something you can prepare for. Truth 2. There often aren't enough staff to care for everyone properly. This is one of the hardest truths to talk about, and one that families often discover the painful way. The reality is that most nursing homes, even the good ones, are short-staffed. There simply aren't enough caregivers to give each resident the time, attention, and patience they truly deserve. Now, that doesn't mean the people working there are bad. In fact, many of them are incredibly compassionate, hardworking individuals who care deeply about the residents, but they're stretched thin. They may be responsible for 10, 12, sometimes even 15 residents at a time, each with different medical needs, routines, and personalities. That kind of workload makes it nearly impossible to provide personalized, high-quality care on a consistent basis. What does that look like in real life? It means longer wait times when someone presses their call button. It means rushed medication rounds, quick meals, and missed showers. It can mean residents sitting for hours in the same position or being taken to the bathroom on a strict schedule, not necessarily when they actually need to go, for someone who's vulnerable, dependent, or dealing with pain or confusion. These delays and gaps in care can feel devastating. Even basic conversations, something as simple as being looked in the eye and asked, "How are you today?" can get lost when staff are overworked. And over time, that lack of human connection takes a toll. Both physically and emotionally, residents begin to feel invisible, like they're just another task to get through before the shift ends. Families often don't realize this until they start noticing little signs, bruises, unwashed hair, confusion over medications, or a sudden change in mood or behavior. And when they ask questions, the answer they're most likely to hear is, "We're doing our best, but we're short-staffed." The truth is, staffing issues in nursing homes are a nationwide problem, and they've been growing for years. Budget cuts, high turnover, and burnout all contribute. During the COVID-19 pandemic, things got even worse. Many skilled, experienced workers left the field entirely, and the shortage hasn't recovered. So what can you do? Be proactive. Ask about staffing ratios before choosing a facility. Don't just look at the building, look at the people. Are the staff friendly? Do they seem overworked? How long have they been there? A facility might look clean and modern, but if it doesn't have enough caring hands on deck, your loved one could suffer the consequences, because in the end, the heart of a nursing home isn't its furniture or paint color. It's the people who show up every day to care for those who can't care for themselves. Truth 3. Medication is sometimes used to control behavior, not just treat illness. This next truth is something many families are never told, but it's something you absolutely need to understand if you or a loved one is entering a nursing home. In some facilities, medications, particularly antipsychotics, sedatives, and anti-anxiety drugs are used not just to treat legitimate medical conditions, but to manage or suppress difficult behaviors. Let's break that down. It's no secret that aging can come with emotional and cognitive challenges. Some residents may experience dementia, confusion, agitation, anxiety, or even aggression, especially in unfamiliar surroundings. These behaviors can be incredibly difficult to manage, especially in homes that are understaffed and overwhelmed. So, rather than exploring non-medication solutions like gentle redirection, environmental adjustments, or one-on-one attention, some facilities opt for a quicker, easier option: medication. In some cases, residents are prescribed sedating drugs not because they have a diagnosed psychiatric condition, but because they're deemed too difficult, too loud, or too demanding. The result, a person who once had spirit and personality may suddenly become quiet, withdrawn, and disconnected. They sleep more, they respond less, and family members may be told it's just part of aging or progression of dementia, when in fact, it could be the side effects of medication meant to keep them manageable. This practice is sometimes referred to as chemical restraint. And while it's not always done with bad intentions, it's often done without full transparency. Families may not know which medications are being given or why. In some cases, consent isn't clearly communicated or the resident isn't fully informed. Of course, not all medications are bad. When used appropriately, psychiatric and behavioral medications can provide relief, reduce suffering, and improve quality of life. But the key word here is appropriately. The goal should always be to enhance a person's well-being, not just make them easier to handle. So what can you do? Ask questions, lots of them. If a new medication is introduced, ask what it's for, what the potential side effects are, and whether there are non-drug options. Ask to see medical records if something doesn't feel right. Visit regularly and pay attention to your loved one's energy levels, personality, and engagement. And most importantly, trust your gut. If someone seems overly sedated or not themselves, speak up. Because every person in a nursing home is still a whole person with a story, a soul, and a right to be treated with dignity, not just managed for convenience. Truth 4, loneliness and depression are more common than you think when people think about nursing homes. They often picture safety, structure, and support, and in many ways, that's true. These facilities provide essential care, especially for those who can no longer live independently. But what isn't talked about enough is the emotional toll that life in a nursing home can take, particularly the feelings of loneliness and depression that many residents experience. Loneliness in nursing homes is far more common than most people realize. Even though residents are surrounded by other people, that doesn't mean they feel connected. Imagine spending most of your day in the same chair, in the same room, with the same routine and very little meaningful interaction. Conversations might be limited to short exchanges with overworked staff or occasional visits from family. If you're lucky, and if you're one of the many residents who doesn't get regular visitors, the days can feel incredibly long and empty. Depression is also a serious issue among older adults in long-term care. It's not just about feeling sad. It can show up as fatigue, appetite changes, irritability, withdrawal, or even physical symptoms like pain or poor sleep. Unfortunately, many signs of depression are mistaken for just getting old, and as a result, they go untreated. This kind of emotional suffering doesn't just affect quality of life, it also impacts physical health. Studies have shown that loneliness and depression can weaken the immune system, increase the risk of dementia, and even shorten life expectancy. And yet, many facilities are still under-equipped to provide adequate emotional or mental health support. Why does this happen? Part of it is systemic. Mental health has historically been underfunded and undervalued, especially for older adults. Some residents may not feel comfortable opening up. Others may not have anyone to talk to. And when staffing is limited, emotional well-being often takes a back seat to physical care. But there are ways to help. If you're a family member, visit often and don't just ask about health. Ask about feelings, memories, stories. Bring in photos, favorite music, or small items from home. If you're a resident, seek out others who are open to conversation. Ask about counseling services. Even one good conversation a day can make a world of difference. Emotional connection is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Everyone deserves to feel seen, heard, and valued, especially in the later chapters of life. And sometimes, the kindest thing we can do isn't just to care for someone, but to sit down, look them in the eye, and care with them. Truth 5, you're not always told the whole truth. This last truth might be the hardest to accept, but it's one of the most important. In many nursing homes, families and even residents themselves are not always told the full story. Whether it's about a fall, a medical error, a change in medication, or a shift in emotional health, transparency can sometimes be lacking. It's not always done with bad intentions. Sometimes staff don't want to worry families. Sometimes they're following internal protocols. Sometimes they simply don't have time to document every detail. But the result is the same people are kept in the dark about things they have every right to know. I've spoken with families who found out weeks later that their loved one had developed bed sores or had stopped eating. Others didn't know about repeated falls until a hospital visit. Some were never told that their relative had been put on a new medication until they noticed a dramatic change in mood or alertness. And here's where it gets difficult once trust is broken. It's hard to get back. You start questioning everything. You wonder, what else haven't they told me? And that uncertainty can be emotionally exhausting, especially when you're trying to make the best decisions for someone you love. That's why it's so important to stay involved, to ask questions, and to build a relationship with the staff, not just when things go wrong, but regularly. Be present, show up, keep a journal of your visits, ask for care plan updates, and don't be afraid to follow up in writing if something doesn't sit right. If your loved one is able to communicate, ask how they feel, not just physically, but emotionally. Often, they'll tell you things no chart ever will. And if you're a resident yourself, know this: you have rights. You have the right to know what medications you're on, the right to ask for a care meeting, the right to speak up when something doesn't feel right. Your voice matters no matter your age or ability. It's not about blaming anyone. It's about awareness. Because when families and residents are empowered with information, they can partner with care teams instead of working against them. And when trust is built, everyone wins: staff, residents, and the people who love them. The truth is, you deserve the truth. And when it comes to your health, your dignity, and your peace of mind, nothing should be kept from you. We've just talked about 5 important truths that nursing homes often won't tell you. And if you've made it this far, I want to thank you not just for watching, but for caring enough to stay informed, because these truths, as difficult as they may be, are things that can make all the difference when it comes to protecting the people we love and even preparing for our own future. Let's quickly review what we've learned. First, not all residents receive the same level of care. Sometimes the ones who are quiet or alone are the ones who are most easily overlooked. Second, many nursing homes are understaffed. Even the most caring workers can't provide proper attention when they're spread too thin. Third, medication can be used as a shortcut to control behavior, not just to treat illness. And too often, this happens without full transparency or informed consent. Fourth, loneliness and depression are far more common than we talk about. Emotional neglect can be just as harmful as physical neglect, and it's often harder to see. And fifth, families and residents aren't always told the whole truth. Whether it's due to fear, policy, or pressure, critical information can be hidden or softened, leaving people in the dark. These aren't easy things to hear, but they are important to understand, because the more you know, the better questions you can ask. The more you stay involved, the more likely your loved one is to receive the care, dignity, and attention they truly deserve. And here's the good news: you're not powerless. You have a voice. You can visit, ask questions, build relationships with staff, advocate with confidence, and speak up when something doesn't feel right. You can help shape the care environment, one conversation at a time. If this video opened your eyes or helped you better understand the reality behind nursing home care, please consider clicking the like button. It helps more people find this important information. And if you want more videos like this about aging well, caregiving, health tips, and real-life wisdom, hit subscribe and join our growing community. And finally, if you know someone who's currently caring for an aging parent or someone considering a nursing home for themselves or a loved one, share this video with them. Sometimes, the most powerful gift we can offer isn't a solution, it's awareness. Thank you for watching. Stay informed, stay compassionate, and most of all, Stay connected to yourself and to those who need you most.